トムとジョーは古びた地図を手に謎めいた洞窟を目指す。川を渡り、森を抜け、ついに洞窟の入り口に到着。暗闇と冒険が待ち受けるその先には、古代の秘密が隠されているという。二人は不安と興奮を抱きながらも進む決意を固める。洞窟の中は暗くて広大。壁には古代の文字や謎めいた絵が描かれ、二人を不思議な世界へ。果たして、二人は洞窟の謎を解き明かし、秘密を手に入れることができるのか？
Tom walked through different paths until he was far away from where the other students might pass. He walked faster and crossed a small stream several times. He believed, like many kids do, that crossing water would stop anyone from following him. About half an hour later, he was passing by the big Douglas house on top of Cardiff Hill, and the school looked very small and far away down in the valley. He went into a thick forest, chose a path that led to the center, and sat down under a big oak tree on some soft moss. There was no wind, and the heat of the day made everything quiet. Even the birds were not singing. The only sound was a woodpecker tapping far away, which made the quiet and feeling of being alone even stronger. Tom felt very sad, and this mood fit well with the quiet forest. He sat for a long time, thinking deeply with his elbows on his knees and his chin in his hands. He felt that life was mostly problems, and wished he could be as peaceful as Jimmy Hodges, who had recently died. Tom thought it must be nice to rest forever, with the wind gently moving the trees and grass, without any worries. He wished he had nothing wrong on his Sunday school record, then he might be ready to leave this world too. He thought about the girl he liked. He hadn't really done anything wrong, but he felt treated very badly, like he was less than a dog. He thought she might regret how she treated him someday, maybe when it was too late. If only he could die for a little while to make her realize his worth. Tom's young heart couldn't stay sad for long. Soon, he started thinking about his life again. What if he left without telling anyone and went to faraway places across the sea, never to return? How would she feel then? The thought of becoming a clown came back to him, but he didn't like it anymore. Jokes and colorful costumes seemed silly now that he was feeling serious and adventurous. Instead, he imagined becoming a soldier, coming home after many years as a brave and famous warrior. Or maybe, he thought, he could join the Native Americans, hunt buffaloes, and go on adventures in the mountains and vast plains of the West. Perhaps one day he could return as a great chief, covered in feathers and war paint, and surprise everyone at Sunday school with a loud war cry, making all his friends jealous. But then an even more exciting idea came to him. That was it. His future seemed clear and full of amazing adventures. He imagined how famous and feared he would become all over the world. He dreamed of sailing the oceans in a sleek, black ship called the Spirit of the Storm, with a scary pirate flag. And one day he would return to his village as a legendary pirate, wearing a black velvet outfit and a crimson sash, armed with pistols and a sword, and make a grand entrance into church. He could almost hear the whispers of awe. "It's Tom Sawyer the pirate, the Black Avenger of the Spanish Main." Tom had made up his mind. He was going to leave home and start his adventure. He planned to leave the next morning, so he needed to prepare right away. Gathering his things was his first task. Near him was an old, rotting log. He took out his Barlow knife and started digging at one end of the log. After a while, he hit wood that sounded empty when he tapped it. He said a special chant. "Whatever hasn't come here, come! Whatever's here, stay here." Then he cleared the dirt away and found a pine shingle. He lifted it and found a small hidden spot made out of shingles. Inside, There was a single marble. Tom was amazed. He scratched his head, confused, and exclaimed, "Well, that beats anything." Then Tom threw the marble away in frustration and stood thinking. He was upset because a superstition he believed in didn't work this time. He thought that if you buried a marble with special words and left it alone for 2 weeks, all your lost marbles would come back to that spot. But it hadn't worked. Tom was really surprised because he had heard stories of this working but never failing. He didn't remember that he had tried this before and couldn't find the marbles again. He thought maybe a witch had messed it up. To check, he found a small sandy spot and lay down close to it. He whispered into the sand, "Do, Bug, tell me what I want to know." Bug doodle. A little black bug popped out and then quickly hid again. He's scared. It must have been a witch, Tom decided. Knowing he couldn't beat a witch, Tom felt defeated. But then he thought he should look for the marble he had thrown away. He searched but couldn't find it. Returning to where he stood before, he threw another marble the same way, hoping it would find the first one. He said, "Brother, go find your brother." Tom watched where the marble stopped and went over to look for it. He tried a couple more times and finally, the 2 marbles were close to each other. Just then, he heard the faint sound of a tin trumpet from deeper in the woods. Excited, Tom quickly took off his jacket and pants, used a suspender as a belt, and uncovered some hidden toys behind a log, a bow and arrow, a wooden sword, and a tin trumpet. Grabbing these, he ran off with only his shirt on, bare. He stopped under a big tree, blew his trumpet in response, and started moving quietly, looking around carefully. Pretending he had a group with him, he whispered, "Stay hidden until I signal." Soon, Joe Harper appeared, dressed just like Tom and ready for adventure. Tom challenged him. "Stop! Who is this entering Sherwood Forest without my permission?" "Guy of Guysborne doesn't need anyone's permission. Who are you to talk to me like that?" Tom helped him along with the lines they had memorized from their games. "You dare to talk like that? Yes, I am Robin Hood, and you will soon feel my wrath." "So you're the famous outlaw? I'm ready to fight for the right to pass through these woods." They put down their toys, took their wooden swords, and stood ready to fight. They began their duel carefully. After a bit, Tom encouraged Joe to speed up. "Let's make it more exciting." They fought harder, getting tired and sweaty. Suddenly, Tom called out, "Fall down! Why won't you fall?" "I won't fall. You're losing anyway." That's not how it goes. In the story, Robin Hood wins with 1 strike. You have to turn so I can pretend to hit you from behind. Joe had to follow the story, so he turned around, and Tom pretended to strike him down. "Now it's your turn to win," Joe said, standing up. "But that's not in the story." "That's not fair, then. Okay, how about you be Friar Tuck or Much, and use a staff to defeat me, or I'll be the sheriff, and you can be Robin Hood and win this time." Tom and Joe continued their adventure. This time, Tom was Robin Hood again. He pretended to be hurt badly and lost all his strength because of a wound that was not taken care of. Joe, acting as many sad outlaws, helped him up and gave him his bow. Tom then said, "Where this arrow lands, bury me under the green trees." He shot the arrow and pretended to die, but he accidentally fell on a nettle and jumped up, which was too lively for someone who was supposed to be dead. After playing, the boys put their clothes back on, hid their toys, and walked away feeling sad. They talked about how there were no real outlaws left, and wondered what good things modern life had to offer that could make up for this loss. They both agreed that being outlaws in Sherwood Forest for a year would be better than being the President of the United States for life.